I guess we should start in another minute. We've got a lot of people already joined in. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first of the dialogues being hosted by ThinkAg in partnership with Srinivasa, with a focus on digitizing the poultry supply chain. We are very grateful for Suresh and his colleagues to take the time out to build on this. And this is the first of the three dialogues that we'll have on this topic. We have a very eclectic panel today. And the way we're going to set up over the next couple of hours is I will hand over to Suresh, who's the VCMD of Srinivasa, and he'll give an overview of the Indian poultry sector with issues around technology and challenges that could be addressed. And then Suresh will introduce the panel and moderate the discussion. Some of the panelists will be making presentations. And that will be followed by a Q&A session that will be led by my colleague, Himendra Mathur. And we should be wrapping up in our scheduled time in 2 hours. So thank you once again for joining in, and thanks to all the panelists for taking the time, including our friends from the North American part of the world, for whom must be very, very early in the morning. Thank you again, and over to you, Suresh. Good luck.
Thank you, Raman, and everyone, especially the panelists, for joining this. And I'm really grateful that you have accepted my invitation. Shir, Travis, Vincent, especially Vincent and Travis, I guess you had to wake up really early. But you guys are looking fresh, I think, but you're used to this, I think, both of you with these webinars around the world. Ramakrishna, and of course to ThinkAg for thinking about this idea, and it's a fantastic idea, I think, and this is relevant not just for India, but I think it's for the whole world, and especially in these COVID times. I think all of us need to start looking at technology, leveraging the technology, and I think technology can make especially digitalization can make our life a lot easier as we go forward, and maybe manage the surprises much better. So I will just give you a little bit of idea of the Indian poultry and what's happening to set up as a context for especially the panelists and everybody else who's participating today. Shavni, can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so the industry, we say it's backyard, but okay, in 1960s it started as backyard. I think when we started, Srinivasa started in 1965, we almost had no organized industry. I think we were probably on the wrong side of 90s in the world egg production. 60, 61, hybrid population started coming into the country. Today, on egg numbers, we are probably number 2 in the world. On weight, maybe we are number 3. But we will be number 2 soon. But I don't know when we will be number 1, because that's a huge gap between us and China. Per capita consumption of eggs is about 75, and chicken is about 4 kgs. By 2030, the per capita consumption will get to about 125. I think it will be more than that. I would think it's be close to 150. And broiler meat would be about 7.8 kgs. I think even that would change. I think COVID has really changed consumption in the last few months, and it's really taking off. Next, please. So I mentioned some of this. So the market size is about 2,000 billion INR, and the growth is going to be quite rapid. And so you're looking at, especially in eggs, adding a United States every 6-7 years. So that's tremendous. I mean, if you think it took us 55 years to get here, or maybe forever to get here, and if the jump would be huge. And on chicken, it's even more extreme, because the number 4 country or number 3 country in the world is Brazil, and Brazil is 4 times, almost 4 times bigger than India, although they are 1/5 the population, I think, or maybe 1/6 the population of India. Uh, so I think I wanted to give you an idea. So right now, 18. So today we are close to US, but by 2030 we'll be as big as US and Europe put together. So this is more or less on the egg side. Yeah, this is on the egg side. Yeah. Next, please. Again, a little bit about India, 1.35. I'm sure that number is updated as of today. I would say closer to 1.4 plus. Per capita is about $2,000 GDP, and urban population is 34. This is expected to get to close to 50% by 2050. So that would mean 800 million people in urban areas by 2050. And why is that important? If you see per capita consumption today in urban areas is 180, which is almost like Europe. Chicken, of course, is not that much. It's probably 7-8 kilos. But eggs is 180 and rural is 22. So if you see close to 500 million people, or 400 million people getting into urban. So just you can imagine the jump in consumption on that. So next, please. Yeah, so this is what we are talking about, per capita consumption, and what's going to happen in terms of what's coming. Yeah. So again, it's obvious, this is the cycle we are going through. This is what the world has gone through, and this is the cycle we are going through over the next 10 to 20 years, moving from surviving to, I think today we definitely are slowly getting into the convenience sector, and tomorrow, and already you can see some kind of quality and hygiene. COVID has pushed that for sure now. And that's what we are seeing already. Again, India is many places at the same time. The urban India or the metros are probably as sophisticated as some of the Western countries, and then the rural areas maybe are competing with the most underdeveloped parts in the world. But it's all moving. It's all moving very fast, and that's the idea. That's the point I want to make to you. Next, please. So as I was saying, we are number 4 in chicken production. But if you see the gap between India and Brazil, which is number 3, which is a country with, I don't know, 250 million population against, which is probably something we add every 10 years. So if you can see the gap between India and Brazil, and that's the opportunity, if you ask me, is that's going to be in India. Yeah. Next. So per capita consumption, the world is about 17 kilos, India is 3.6. The point I want to make here is what I found interesting is that the link is very clear to per capita GDP of consumption, and we have seen in all the countries that have moved, as the people's incomes have increased, one of the first beneficiaries is animal protein. And in India, you're going to have very little competition to chicken. I don't see beef really taking off, or beef will always be an issue, and even I think pork will never compete with chicken. So I think we have already come far. Next slide. I think. So I think it's already 50% of the consumption. Again, this is repeating the same things. Can we go to the next slide, Shravani? Yeah, it's already about 50% today. I think over the next few years, poultry would probably, I would think by 2030, this share will keep increasing. and because sheep and goats are very, very, they're not price wise, they can never match. They're not easy. And I think, buffalo, while it will be there, I think it will keep shrinking because nothing can match poultry, both in terms of sustainability and cost. And I think that's the main important point here. And of course, eggs will always have the least resistance in terms of, and then the value of probably the highest in this nutritionally and from the environment point of view. Can we go to the next slide? So this is the other part. I expect processing to probably grow between 25 to 30% or year on year. That's what's happening now. Again, the base is so low. It says 10%, but it's actually much less than that. So the base is very low, and as government is working on, and wanting more hygienic standards around the cities and all that, I think this is what is going to grow. And if you see, Philippines and Malaysia are almost at 80-85%, South Africa. So I think we will go there too. I think over the next 20 years, it's not going to happen in the next year or two, but that's the opportunity for us. Next, Shravani. So these are just certain things. I think I will let the members talk about this more than me. But these are some of the things that are happening. Robotics and automation, GoBot by Georgia Tech from my alma mater. I mean, not my alma mater, sorry, the city I did my business school from. Chicken Boy is again farm automatic from Europe. And on food safety, Clear Labs and Technicon. Big data and AI, poultry systems. There are different things. And we have people like Shir and all that doing some very, very amazing things, which I'm looking forward to, the world using. And I'm sure that there's a lot of things happening. EggNext, Exact, I think from, it's a gene editing. It's a brilliant idea. I just don't know how ready the world is ready to use gene editing technologies yet, but I think it's something they're solving. They've solved a brilliant idea of not having to euthanize the male chicks, and again for virus and nano detection and all that. So, and we will have. I think Vincent will give us an idea of what some of the things that are happening. Travis, of course, will talk about. He's one of our experts or guiding lights, I would say, on disease all over the world. He's on my IEC panel. He's been doing a brilliant job last few years with disease diagnostics and especially on avian influenza. And Ramakrishna, I think, will give a little bit of idea on the egg market in India. And so without much ado, again, thank you very much, everyone. I think, Shavani, you can end it and transfer it to Travis. So Travis will talk about early diagnosis and control of zoonotic disease outbreak. Travis is a director of global production for Highline International. Travis, over to you.
Thanks, Suresh. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you. Despite the early morning, it's good to wake up fresh, as you said. This is a very interesting topic, and one that I think we're going to see, like you said, a lot of developments in the next 20 or 30 years. Coming from my perspective, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to speak on a webinar based across multiple continents. This just shows how much the internet has changed our lives, and the opportunity through COVID times. Now we have this ability to connect remotely and still get a lot of good exchange, which is an amazing thing. And talk about digitization. This is digitization 101. So really, I guess from a diagnostic and disease perspective, the internet truly is a wonderful phenomenon, but also kind of scary. And as Suresh noted, the global trade of poultry, or the global production of poultry, we see that zoonotic diseases like avian influenza can be detected in real time now with PCR diagnostics, but then also your trading partners can be alerted immediately via email, OIE exchange, or updates. So you have to be careful with those diagnostics and what they mean for the country and the trade implications. You guys may be familiar with the avian influenza outbreak currently in Europe. It's high path avian influenza across multiple nations, many of the major suppliers of genetics or poultry meat actually to the global supply. And so it'll be very interesting to see how this winter develops in that outbreak across many, many countries and actually different types of avian influenza. As Suresh mentioned, there's different modalities of testing, and even I'm not an expert because having been out of school only 8 years, some of this technology is so groundbreaking. You have to go back and study up on the biochemistry of how it works. But we're actually seeing a lot of this through the COVID vaccination attempts as well, where we see messenger RNA used as a platform for vaccine development. And that just shows the biotechnology at work to really narrow into the molecular structure of these pathogens. And then we can identify novel technologies to provide protection against diseases for animals or humans. The rapid diagnosis is critically important, but the most important thing of diagnosis is accuracy. And so what we really need to be careful of in the years to come is that these modalities provide a very accurate ability to detect disease, and that the sample is easy to collect, but then that the laboratories understand the methodologies to run the assay so we can trust the results to verify. And of course, as I mentioned, the trade perspective, these diseases can cause a lot of issues in global trade. And so you want to be careful that the diagnosis is legitimate before it's announced to global trading partners. I think we're going to see some really neat things as far as vaccination to complement what's left as far as antibiotics in poultry production. We're going to see a reduction in antibiotic use as flocks are healthier, better management. But then, of course, prevention is the best cure for disease. And so we'll see a lot of new technologies as far as these mRNA vaccines to protect against things like infectious bronchitis virus that mutate very rapidly in the field. And then we can get ahead of them through these molecular techniques. It's amazing to see the growth in egg consumption and production in India, as Suresh mentioned. To be adding a U.S. egg production every 6 or 7 years is going to require all sorts of new technologies or methods to provide the best production, because you can't succeed in production by having the same methodology with growth like that in an industry. So I think we're going to see a lot of new things we haven't even considered coming out of the necessity of that type of production growth in a smaller subcontinent region where people are tightly dense together. So I don't have a lot of other poignant remarks at this time, but I'd like to interact with the panel when given the opportunity. And thank you again for the chance to speak this morning.
Thank you, Travis, for a quick this thing. I think, I think that's what I think we have to use digitalization to take things forward. I think that will give us a great control and this thing, and we will not be surprised and shocked by what's happening around the world, considering the risk of zoonotics, and it's always there. It's always been there, and I think it'll always be there as long as life is there on, I guess, on this planet. So I think, and I think today we have the tools to manage this, and thank you very much, Travis, for that. So next. Ramakrishna, you want to talk about layer industry in India, the egg business? Yes, layers are the eggs, egg side of the business. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Just I am sharing my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this visible now?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah. Yeah, let us discuss about layer industry in India, the present situation, and also how it is going to emerge in the next 10 or 15 years. Before I jump into the topic, I thank ThinkAg and Srinivasa for making this initiative of digitization in poultry, which is going to give immense potential improvements in the performance of the layer farms. Some of the slides and contents will be like repetition of Mr. Suresh, because it's an introduction to the layer industry. And without the statistics, it's difficult for me to get it through. So apologies for the repetitions, but it will be refreshing for all. India stands number 3 in the global egg production next to China and United States in terms of egg weight. As Mr. Suresh said, it's on the numbers for the, when it is compared on the numbers, it's number 2, and it's based on weight. When it is compared, it's number 3. And out of the total global its contribution from the top producing countries, India contributes around 6.2% of the total egg production, whereas United States at 8.2% and China 35%. So the top 3 producing countries contribute more than 50. It's close to 50% of the global egg production. Indian egg production is gradually, steadily increasing. When we see 2 decades before, it was 27 billion, and now it is close to 95 billion. So it has almost tripled in the last 2 decades, and it is increasing at the rate of 5 to 7% per annum. If we see the statewide egg production, this is the current scenario where the eggs are produced in many states across India. But if you see the transition, how it happened a decade before, where only few states were producing the eggs. And majority of the egg production was from 70% of the egg production was contributed by 4 or 5 prominent states earlier. But now we can see many states producing eggs in the map, which is very good for the better egg distribution. And also making the production in many states will enhance the egg consumption within the state. So out of these, totally 10 states in India produce around 85% of the national egg production. And out of these 3 states, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh contribute around 50% of the national egg production. So there is huge dependence on these states to meet the national egg requirement. Many eggs are transported daily from South India to many parts of the country, especially the northeastern parts and eastern parts, to meet their demand. If you see the per capita egg availability, these are the country-wise what is available, and what is in red is the egg availability per capita, which is less than 100. If you see the global top producing countries other than India, they produce more than 200 eggs per capita, and India is the only country which is producing less than 100. Because of its owing to its population and the future and the low consumption, there is potential of plenty of opportunity for the layer industry in India to grow further. Yeah, the current consumption is at 72 in the year 2020 we are, and 72 is the per capita egg consumption, and it is likely to touch 180 by 2030. So there is going to be a significant vast big growth in the egg consumption pattern due to the urbanization and also the increasing population, and the GDP is increasing. When the national average stands at 72 per capita consumption, there are some of the states in India which already eats more than the national average. Like Telangana, it eats 163 eggs. The people in Tamil Nadu, they eat 119, and also Andhra Pradesh at the same level. And Karnataka, people, they eat 84 is the per capita consumption. So some of the states, they're being already better than national average, and they hit the mark of 180, which is recommended by the National Institute of Nutrition. So with the current level of bird population and also the per capita egg requirement of 180 by 2020, the layer industry has to be more than double in the next 10 years to meet the increasing population and the egg requirement for the country. This is the current situation of layer farms. It's an overview about the present layer farming situation in India. Most of the houses are open-sided houses. They are multiple age. They are semi-automated feeding system and silos for feed storage and automated egg collection in few farms. When I say large farms, the capacity is 100,000. The farm capacity is increasing and the number of farms are reducing. The present lake-laying farms has transformed from a small open deep litter poultry farms 3 decades before, and during that time there was no automation. The disease challenges are, the challenge what the industry facing is the disease challenge, and the biosecurity practices that has been existing has to be improved a lot. Less than 2% farms are with environment controlled houses, and these houses are mostly located in northern part of India. It's attributed to the climatic challenge exists there. Going forward from the future of Indian layer industry, because of the increasing demand of egg production and also egg consumption is going to increase, we expect number of closed houses or environment controlled houses are going to increase in the coming period. The number of farms will keep on decreasing, but the capacity of farms will increase. And then as the as the demand increases, there will be more focus on increased production levels. Everybody will focus to increase the performance of the birds, and also the focus and attention will go towards reduction in the cost of production. As the environment controlled houses are going to come up in the future, this will keep the cost of production less. There will be more attention needed on the health of the birds and improving biosecurity conditions that is being prevailing. So how this digitization is going to make changes in the poultry industry, how it is going to increase the performance of the farming. Though there are opportunities for increasing the egg consumption and demand is to continue, poultry farms continue to manage with limited information. Egg farms at least have the daily data point of average egg production from a group of birds. But managing for average production makes the production less efficient. To make better production or make the production levels better, more information on real time is needed, such as feed intake, water intake, body weights, knowing stress level for the birds, discomfort assessed through sensing the body temperature of the birds, carbon dioxide or ammonia gas level in the houses. These information are needed to understand what is the process going on within the poultry house. But it looks like too much information or too much complicated. But to start with, it is simple to start with using sensors inside the poultry houses. Sensors, they are easy to implement. They are the among the digitization process. These are the least easy process to implement, which doesn't cost much, and also you can see the benefits or you can see the benefits in a very shorter period. So use sensors to collect information as much as possible. Once you have all the information, when you collect the data, it can be for a day or a week or a month. So whatever the time period needed, you can start collecting information through sensors, which records the temperature, and also it can record the airflow and humidity and also light intensity. Once you have all the inputs, correlate with your production parameters and see what you try to connect the dots of what's happening within the house and what the birds are doing. Once you have all this information, you focus on weak spots in your production process. This helps to improve the farm performance. So this is it's a start to improve increase the performance through using the technology. So digitization is going to help, or it is going to change the way how the farms are operated. Poultry it generates a lot of data on a day-to-day basis. But without data, when the data is coming and when the data is not analyzed properly and it is not used, then there is less benefit out of that. Earlier, farmers used to manage the chickens in a better way, and the going forward new way of managing is going to be like managing the data as well is as important. Data and knowledge-based approach will optimize health, animal well-being, and productivity. Artificial intelligence and big data will play a key role in improving birds' performance in the next decade. Data mining is the goal for farmers, and AI will help to extract maximum benefit out of the performance efficiencies. Yeah, by this I conclude my presentation, and I thank ThinkAg and Srinivasa for giving me an opportunity to speak in this forum, and I will join with the participants, with the panelists for the interaction session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramakrishna. And I think Shiv and Archana are going to talk more about some of the points Ramakrishna was talking about, especially on the sensors and all that. So, Vincent, over to you. Please enlighten us about digitalization and how we can use that. You are on mute, Vincent.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now, can you see me? Can you see my slides?
No, we can't see the slides yet, but we can see you.
Okay, well, that's not interesting. The slides are much better. Oh, here we go. Maybe that's, sorry about that. Share, here we go. Now you can see them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here. So let's talk about digitalization of the sector and see what we are doing currently and what's coming in the future. Certainly, in terms of digitalization, artificial intelligence, robots are probably the one that we know the most and are probably currently used the most on our farms. Some of the advantages, obviously, they are continuously 24 hours, 7 days a week on our farms, able to monitor the birds and ensure the comfort of the birds. We see a number of advantages for breeders, layers, less floor eggs, better quality of the litter for broilers, for example, so less health issues on the birds, overall increased productivity, and also better welfare. So it's always great to see that modern technology not only increase productivity, but also contribute to the welfare of the birds. If you look at some of those robots, are actually very fancy, and they monitor throughout the barns all the condition in terms of ammonia, temperature, humidity, and so forth. So we are truly able to quickly pinpoint one local area where we may have a problem, and that problem potentially could spread to other places in the barn. So we can really react quickly with this type of devices on our farms. Another great utilization currently of some of the data that is being analyzed is the value of prediction. And we see that more application already for broilers, where basically 7 to 10 days before the birds are ready to be sent to the market, the producer can have a good idea of what is going to be that weight, that final weight, and therefore is able to already implement some measures if the weight is going to be too low or too high compared to the target weight. So this is one of the already implemented great utilization of data and artificial intelligence. Sorry, in terms of artificial intelligence in our plant, a food plant, there is also a number of utilization that are addressing some current problem we have in terms of, for example, painful and repetitive tasks that we have in processing plant, lack of real data, and also the fact that the human speed intervention, the speed is not as fast as what we can get with machines. So in our food plant now, we have a combination of artificial intelligence, artificial vision, automation that allows us to basically improve both the quality and the speed of our processes. So probably the area where currently the poultry sector has the most use of digital technologies is through marketing activities. We have gone from a linear system where basically the retailers were the only one in contact with the customers, where now basically thanks to digital technologies, everybody can actually interact with consumers, and farmers, processors, retailers have that direct contact and opportunity to interact with the customers and learn from them. To move forward, really, what is it that we need? Well, I think this diagram explains really the situation, is that basically around the world, only 10% of the data is part of that digitalized world. The rest, 90%, is not accessible because it could be on paper, it could be on any other means that is not useful to be analyzed in a cost-efficient manner. And the situation is actually going to increase because some of the prediction is that by 2050, basically the average farm, through the use of Internet of Things and connected devices and sensors, will generate 4.1 million data points. So all that data, what is it that we can do with it? It's basically like, for example, if we look at egg production, you have listed here on the left a number of parameters that we consider may have an impact on egg production. And then when we look at what is the best formula if we try to predict production or predict any drop of production, it's a very complex analysis. And the human brain can basically handle maybe 2 parameters, 3 parameters. When we talk about a 20-dimension equation, it's impossible to do on our own. So we rely more and more now on machine learning. And there's different methods, different systems, but basically this is using the machine that mimics sort of the human brain to analyze the data, to see trend patterns and make prediction. Some of the research already done, quite interesting. And Suresh, you were mentioning Georgia Tech. This is scientists from this university that are studying the noises made by our birds on the farms in order to try to detect any stress, any signs of stress, distress, or diseases potentially. Other type of research. Artificial vision, even though for us human, vision is something very natural, for machine it's extremely complex. And even though here, so they were studying artificial vision to detect signs of diseases in poultry 2012. So that's 8 years ago. And why is it that we have not made, it seems, a lot of progress? Well, it's because for a long time we were really limited by software application, by memory, by computer capacity, all those things. And over the past 8 years, we have seen tremendous progress in that area. And now people do not need to analyze, to watch all the videos for hours. There's actually software and programs that can actually pinpoint the interesting element that is needed to understand what's going on. So here's a recent study published last year from Australia, and the scientists were looking at free-range birds, and they combined a number of technology to study those birds. So they were using those radio frequency ID, so each bird could be identified. They use optical flow pattern, image analysis, video cameras, and so forth to study the birds, try to understand their behavior. And you see here on the right a diagram, very complex, but it's basically the pattern of the bird. So you understand some birds never will go outside, others stays inside, and that way you can actually improve both the welfare of the birds. You can potentially fine-tune the diets. And birds going outside could have a different diet than the one always staying inside the barn. And likewise, you understand where the birds are within the barn, so you can allocate resources like feeders and waterers in a much more efficient manner. So really, both that type of research is going to improve housing system, the way we monitor the birds, the way we manage them. One of the current application, because it's been implemented already by some retailers, it's blockchain. Okay, and I have listed here the advantages that are being sold by people pushing for blockchain. And blockchain, really, all those advantages can be delivered only if we have data that is digitalized. That means if we have also, automated data being transferred into the system. The minute you have to have manual input of any type of data, basically you have the risk of losing both the integrity, the quality of the data, and therefore the whole concept of blockchain will be meaningless. So really, blockchain needs digital data to be working as it is supposed to do. Future opportunities, disease diagnosis. It's histopathology. A lot of time, we have to do those fancy slides, as you can see here, the picture, and a veterinarian or a trained technician has to read the slide and say, yes, this is what it is. So more and more now through machine learning, we'll be able to have this process automated, and that's sort of like collaborative artificial intelligence, where the machine is going to help the vets to get a better diagnosis. We can certainly also believe that through modern technologies, we're going to be able to have an early detection of diseases rather than wait for maybe 3-4% of the flock of birds to show some clinical signs. Potentially, system will alert us of a disease when you have 1 or 2 birds that are in the incubation period. Feed formulation optimization also, where we can use actually inline analysis of the feed, and therefore the formulation is truly based on the ingredient being used, being formulated, and not just based on tables. Other applications which are already well advanced will be the grading of the eggs by weight using video cameras. So you don't need any scales anymore, it's just visual. Genetic selection, any field where basically you manage a huge amount of data, you can certainly get the benefit of implementing artificial intelligence and machine learning processes. Hatchery management, Suresh mentioned earlier some of the work that is being done for the sexing of embryos at the hatchery. And finally, the whole new field that will benefit animals, but also human. It's all the discovery of new vaccines and medicine through artificial intelligence, quick analysis of vast amount of database and trying to find analogies or commonality between current medicine and potential candidates. Obviously, we have to talk about the post-COVID, learning for our sectors, and really, I think it's accelerating the switch to digital, to smart ways of doing things. So the smart data, with data that is automatically transferred and connected to our computers. In some areas, we had a problem with the labor shortage, and again, we need to do more of the smart working, and also look at the whole value chain, have a smart value chain to avoid any disruption and availability of food to our consumers. So in the end, and it's a very good topic for this seminar, because it's all about data. It's not so much about the algorithm, but if you have a lot of data, you will be able to use those machine learning processes, and you will be able to gain a lot of insight from the data that you have. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent. I think you have set it up beautifully for what's possible and what's coming. And of course, I hope the next two will tell us what they're already doing and how they see the world going. So we have two startups presenting to us. Shir Landau Blom is from Poultry in Israel. Over to you, Shir.
Thank you, Suresh. Hi, everybody. Great presentation.
Sure, we can't see the presentation yet, although it says you started. Yeah, just making sure you get that. Yeah. Did we lose her, or did I lose you guys? No, I think I can see Vincent smiling, so I think you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Suresh.
I think maybe give Shir a few more. Okay, I think she's back. Yeah.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We lost you in between. Yeah, you're back.
For some reason, Zoom just kicked me out of the entire thing. So I'm gonna try this one more time. Hopefully this time. Okay, can you see it?
Hey, yeah, now you're on. Yeah, go ahead.
Time's the charm. Okay, so so thank you for this, well-established, if you may, kind of introduction to what I'm about to talk about. Since really, as mentioned, data, the right way to accumulate all the data and gather it in one place, so all the analysis and algorithms and prediction models can be implemented, is one of the greatest challenges of the poultry business. And perhaps I'll start by explaining why. I assume it's pretty obvious for the majority of the people participating. But for those of you who are not that well intimately familiar with it, so of course the poultry industry has gone through major process.
Sure, we're losing your voice in between. Maybe you need to come a little bit closer. You're coming in.
Closer? Yeah, I think that's a problem. Yeah. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
So as I mentioned, the poultry industry has gone through major consolidation process from the early 90s, and making the whole industry these days to be highly integrated under large companies working with from dozens to thousands of different stakeholders in the value chain. And while the entire industry is highly integrated, each company in of itself is largely decentralized. The large companies can work with thousands of farmers. That makes the entire data collection process very challenging. The data is basically gathered in every single farm, sometimes in a technical way, but many times in very manually. And if you don't have all the data in one place in the same manner, running analysis and implementing models is almost impossible. So we're looking at an industry that if you can't measure, you can't really manage. This is the main challenge here. I'm getting information that I'm not being heard properly.
Yeah, your voice is coming in and out, so it's
I don't know why that is. This preliminary talk before everyone joined in.
yeah.
And I can try to join in using the cell phone audio, mobile audio. I'll keep on going, but Suresh, please, if this is too bad, just let me know and I'll just switch.
Sure. Please go ahead. Keep going. Yeah, please keep going.
Okay. So this is where Poultry comes into play. We are a real-time data management and analytics platform. Our purpose is to make the whole poultry industry smarter, more efficient, and more transparent with its process. And again, the goal is, as always, to make the business better. In each case, if you make the birds' life and health better, and if you're more accurate on the way you run the business, it comes down at the end of the day to the bottom line. And the way we do this is by offering a two-layered platform. The initial layer, the basic layer, is aimed at operational optimization. Basically connect through API integration to any data source in the process. I will show you what that means. To really gather all of the data into a single place. Requisite to run all the data tools and insights. But once we have all the data in one place, this is where it becomes even more interesting. Start taking all this data and making sense out of it, and helping the companies, the processors, get business intelligence and business decisions become more, in real-time basis, to be able to take the right measure at the right time to mitigate risks. And basically, by doing all of that, we cater to issues both such as traceability in the production chain, which I know has been mentioned just now in the context of blockchain technology. I have to say, from my experience, that blockchain is basically implemented in the best manner where there is a complex value chain, but each stage of the value chain is a different stakeholder, sometimes with conflicting interests, perhaps. And this is why you need like smart contracts and the whole process to be done automatically without, with each side kind of not trusting the other in the value chain. In this case, this is different because usually the whole value chain is under a single owner, if you may. And therefore, we have looked into it and tried to study whether it's a worthwhile transition to make. And our current conclusion was that since we are talking about a single company with actually, with trusting entities within the whole value chain, that actually blockchain might not be like the ultimate, let's say, solution. Rather, just by implementing the digitalization of the entire value chain and the gathering of data from each and every point in the value chain, that already provides the transparency that we need if we want to know, for example, veterinarian or even genetic problem that we find at the processing plant that makes the company not be able to sell, let's say, half a ton of meat, But if we can attribute that and trace, understand what is what is causing this genetic problem, for example, parent flock from a specific breeding farm, then that helps us to make the entire value chain better. So this is why you can have traceability not only based on a blockchain, but also on other existing technologies. Of course, when you take the right decisions at the right time, you avoid issues such as mortality or increased mortality, or issues such as too big of birds arriving at the doorstep of the processing plant and then wasting the time over recalculating, recalibrating the machines and everything. This is really saving just even waste in the process. Now, how we do this? So we basically integrate with whatever, although I think by these days, probably the majority of the industry is already using controllers in their farms, in their hen houses. Today, they're, especially in rural areas, that's the case in India, but also the case in Brazil and even in the States. Some farms have no controllers at all, or very old controllers that can't send data to the cloud. And it's, if you want to be able to offer one value proposition, an entire integration, you need to think how you're going to. So while we have developed our API integration, which allows us to connect to different type of controllers and take in all the data from there, we fully appreciate the fact that some work still today manually, and have developed a mobile application to allow the farmers and farm owners to very easily add in their data, daily data, while doing their job. They're just round in the hen house, and that allows us to be able to integrate data from those more technologized farms that are connected, but also from those farms that are less advanced, because even in areas where you don't even get internet reception, you get cellular reception. And most of them have smartphones in their pockets. And when they do their daily routine in the house, they can just take up their mobile. They just took out 11 dead birds. They just fill in 11 mortality, house number 3. That's it. So again, everything is very important, because the stakeholders in this industry are usually people that are not accustomed to working with technology. Some of the farmers, are previous generations, and while that is changing as we speak, we still need to be able to cater to all type of farmers and all type of farms. And with that, we start generating insights, and some of the insights are really industry changing. I just shared one here, which we've been able to provide to the industry here in Israel, where we've been working for some years now. So we're able to basically tell them, even some like 3 years back, 4 years back, guys, the industry, the market is distributing approximately 50-50 main type of breeds. Here I'm talking about broiler specifically. And we just told them, look at the data. Once we started collecting your data, now we can tell you there's one breed that is outperforming the other one in all the major parameters that are being looked at. That has made an impact. And as of last year, the market is no longer distributed 50%, but rather 80%, 20%, for that breed that we showed was better performed. Basically, in order to do that, we use 3 main pillars: big data analytics, machine learning, actionable insights, which have been mentioned here before. And I think this is a real changing point or game changer in this industry, because really the amount of data is immense, and there's no human mind that could analyze and kind of take in all the data. So the machines here are helping us significantly. And of course, the ultimate goal is always to implement artificial intelligence, which is already the decision maker. If not the action taker, there's still the decision maker. those very sophisticated tools to the action takers within the company. So you can understand how easy it is for the farmer to work with this platform and how much of value the manager can see, 15 hours drive away from the farm, but still get all the information on real-time basis. So this is like very easy from a farm that is connected through the controller. So we get all the data gathered. What we do is we don't expect the farmer to understand whether this data point that he's receiving is okay, if it's abnormal. If we know, we already put into the infrastructure all of the let's say KPIs or the usual standards for growth for the specific breed that this farmer is growing. And if they're getting some daily result which is abnormal, immediately we show it in red. The purpose is really to help the farmer understand there's something wrong here and there is an action that needs to be taken to real time. The implications are huge.
Sure,
there's 20% of
Sure, we are.
Can you hear me?
No, it's really gone bad in between. So,
if you can stop your video and just do the audio, I think probably that will give.
Yeah, maybe that's. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's causing the mess. Hang on for a second. How is it now? Better? No.
No.
Just stop the video and just keep the audio on.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I can reshare. I don't want to overburden the.
Sure. If you want to take a few minutes.
I actually sent it.
If you want to take a few minutes, then you can have Archana talk, and then maybe you can check if you can log in from a different device or something.
Yeah. I'll try to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah. In the meantime, we'll have Archana go next, so that. And then we'll give Shira an opportunity. I think we have good time, so I think yeah. Archana, can you go ahead, Archana? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for all the panelists for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, Suresh sir, for inviting me to this panel and talk about what we are doing about digitization in the poultry industry. So let me just go ahead and start my screen. So I'm the co-founder of Poultrymon, and we started this as a industrial IoT company, but later what we have realized getting into the poultry industry is it has a tremendous scope for improvement, and also digitalization is in the process. The technology that is presently used is more or less that has been used in the practice since almost 30 years. And there's a vast scope in digitalizing and also revolutionizing the process using sensors and new technology. And the panelist before me has really set a really apt pretext to how the digitalization and the technology innovation is thriving in the industry and also increasing productivity and also profitability. So, our entry also has been very coincidental into the industry. We have a friend who has a hatchery, and one day he was mentioning that there was a huge hatch loss at one of his hatchery because the operator was not in place. He was sleeping somewhere. So then we saw that the data is pretty distorted. I mean, it's still been largely they use manual techniques for data gathering, and data integration does not happen. And to understand why such incident or why there was low productivity needs to there's still a distortion between the actual facts and what has actually happened at the hatchery or at the farm during that time. So we have seen that there are charts that are the operator jots down He's supposed to do it every 1 hour, but usually that happens one time. And the data gathering itself is very inaccurate to say, and how we can automate the process was the core concept of our product, using technology, using sensors. And the advent of IoT and AI has played a major factor for us to develop our product and also scale up to what we are today. So we are one of the pioneers to introduce AI and IoT technologies for the poultry sector. So when we look at the industry, there's still though it is the second largest egg producer and third largest meat producer in the world now, and also growing rapidly, it still has major challenges in terms of mortalities during the first 7 days during the brooding period, due to environmental factors and also other major factors that is happening. But mainly when we look at the farms and hatcheries that operate in India, it's more majorly 90% are open farms, and the environmental conditions are quite different from north to south. Even though there is the process is still running in southern states, but during extreme winters and summers, where the temperature goes towards 40 to 45 degrees, and also humidity that plays a major role in terms of mortality. So there is no, we have noticed that there is no immediate information system that is available for the farmers or for the supervisors at the or operators at the hatchery and farm level. So the system where it can actually capture what is happening in real time and send that information to concerned person or to management in case the operator is missing or he's in some place else. So this kind of informed system is not there currently, and that's why we have come up with this system using our sensors and technology. So I have talked about the process and also the monitoring part and also the mortality part, which plays a major role in terms of the losses in the industry, and also the relevant technology that has been used where it can reduce the burden of veterinary doctors who has to go to visit farm to farm, so especially during this COVID times and other when the doctors are not available. And also when we look at the doctor availability at the farm is also very less. So to have that relevant information in time to avoid any major damages that happen in related to mortality or also low productivity in hatcheries or farms. So that is where we come into picture, and also the stress induced due to these extreme temperature or weather patterns is also a major factor of the losses, whether it can be a productivity or the mortality factor. So how we can strengthen the farmer with the information which is real time and also accurate. The data is also automatic, which can be captured and also given to the concerned person with just a click of the button. We use the mobile app, and all the any changes or any anomalies detected is immediately alerted so that the intervention can happen in real time. So that's the challenge that we are solving here in the industry. In turn, also increasing the productivity factor and also connecting the data, integrating the data and giving them informed data-driven decision points to the management. So what we do in the hatcheries and farms is we capture more than 10 parameters in hatcheries and almost 7 to 8 parameters at farm level, which are critical to the process, that the entire hatching process of 21 days, where we monitor them 24/7 and give them minute by minute information, and also the information which is relevant at the time of decision making. Where we actually tell them how what are the parameters that are affected the bird or the low performance of these birds, that particular batch. So we can actually go back to that process, go back to the hatchery and that batch number and understand why this batch is not performing well at the farm level. So that kind of relevancy and data correlation that we bring to the table. And also at the farm level, we monitor carbon dioxide, we monitor ammonia and other major factors apart from temperature and humidity, and how we are integrating the entire data table, the entire data structure from the parent farm till it goes to the processing unit, forms the core product offering of our platform. So we also connect the EC farms as well. So these are some of the devices which we have patented in the process, where it will give the real-time information locally and also give the same information in the mobile application and web application as well. So these are some of the features of our system, and more importantly, what benefit we bring to the table, bring to the farmers is we have showcased multiple times from our case studies that 2 to 3% in yield improvement in hatcheries. So, and also 3 to 4% of reduction in mortality, because the environmental conditions are being monitored in real time 24/7 throughout that brooding period, or the broiler at the broiler farms and also at the hatchery levels. And we provide the real-time analytics for data-driven decisions. And since these conditions are being maintained optimally, the savings in terms of resources and also energies is about 10%. So the whole point of our technology brings in a lot of operation control and visibility, and also predictive maintenance for the management, where they can just sit at the office and understand what is happening at different areas, different branches and divisions across their operations. And so coming to the poultry value chain, so we have started with the hatchery, which is considered the heart of the industry, and whatever the factors the bird is subjected, the egg is subjected to in the hatchery level, plays a larger impact on the overall ecosystem of the poultry. So then we have spread across to cold rooms and the broiler farms, and we also have a flock management application. So where we are integrating the connections and the data which is not connected right now to give management a overall informed system based on the accurate data that we collect from sensors, and also match it to the production data to understand what are the typical parameters that had effect on the production, whether it is a high production, the last batch of that batch, or the low production, and what were the factors that impacted about that. And so eventually we want to integrate till the processing units and feed plants, and give a complete comprehensive understanding of their entire operations. So here as Vincent was mentioning about the data and AI technologies that are being used currently, that are under research to develop for precision livestock farming. So we are also entered into the PLF technologies, and we want to analyze the body weights, and also the growth, and also the number of birds that are present, and the number of mortalities that has happened over that day, and what was the causes of that particular mortality of that batch, and what was the distribution pattern, the feeding pattern, any sick or sick birds, and the birds that are not performing well. So these are some of the analysis that we have done using our AI software, where we can identify the position of the bird, and also count the number of the birds, and look at based on the positioning of the birds, the eyes or the beak or the crown, and to understand whether it's going to be sick in the near future, or within a day or so, based on its position, its posture. So another important aspect that we are working on is how to grade actually the eggs. So this is also an important factor at the hatchery level. So this is all the backward integration that we are doing right now. So we have observed that it typically takes a person to grade eggs, at least 15 to 18 minutes to just grade 30 eggs. What we can do with the AI and the current technologies, how we can identify the eggs based on the cracks, its size, texture, quality, and also the color. Even though a person is taking more than 15 minutes to grade a tray, there are still cracks that go into the hatch. There are at least 2 to 3% of damaged eggs that that are being removed during the time of candling. So how we can avoid this before they are set into the hatches is something that is quite interesting, and we are developing it. So looking at the market opportunity of the technologies that we have, how much market scope that we are going to, change the, digitize the industry is something that we are quite interested in. And as Suresh sir and others have really talked about the market and how it's going to improve in the next coming 2 to 5 years is something really excites us, and we want to focus more on the back-end integration and also forward integration of supply chain from farm to fork model, and also bring a lot of valuable data to the management, to the farmers, so that they can make informed decisions and increase the profitability. So this is our team, and these are mentors. So these are some of our customers that we have implemented, and these actually our product was launched by Mr. Suresh sir, and these are some of the areas where we have events where we have presented our technology. And this is some of the media coverage that we have got. Yeah, so that I think I'll end my.
Thank you, Archana.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
People will have some questions, and sure. Do you want to take a crack at it quickly? Get back.
Yeah, that'd be great. I apologize. I had some internet issues. Fine now. So.
I think you're still having the same issues, but please continue.
No. Please have the Q&A. I'm gonna connect from my mobile. Okay.
Okay.
I want people to hear me properly. Sorry.
No.
Take a second.
So can we? I think. Yeah, I think. Hemant or Raman, I think overall, I think we got a good this thing, and of course, my thing is this is just the first session. It's also we wanted to from there are a few more who are already very interested to participate in this in the next session, and we do want to take this conversation forward because this is pretty early days in the industry, but it's got tremendous future. There's no denying that. And so, yeah, I think let's listen to Shir before I think we go. Well, I think Shir and Archana got a chance to say, but I think now, Shir, go ahead. I think quickly, a few minutes.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me now properly?
Now, clear, very clear.
Okay, awesome. Using audio from here and video from there. Okay, so maybe I'll just wrap up because I think you guys already heard plenty, but I still wanted just to show just 2 screenshots of how the people working with the platform actually see it. So I don't know if you were able, do you see it here? There you go.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah, great. So I don't know how much of the previous note you're able to hear. I'll just repeat very quickly. This is basically what the farmer, but also the manager in the integration sees from the farm. So again, we don't expect the farmer to go and say, okay, I have 39 mortalities on day 19 of the growth in barn 3. And is it good? Is it not good? We do this for them, and we show them in red whatever results that are alarming and whatever results that require some action to be taken. Basically, Achan, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But basically, our solutions kind of complement each other in the way they collect the data from the field and then analyze and give the meaning to it. Of course, everything is also, we show everything also in a graphical visibility. And that kind of helps, again, to get to really quick, instantaneous conclusions of what's going on. In this specific case, you can see there was a huge peak in mortality on day 24th, both in male and female broilers. And that correlates to a peak in the maximum temperature in that very same day. So the immediate conclusion is that those two issues somehow are related. And even without implementing all these algorithms and prediction models already, you can see there is a huge connection here, and it's easier for the farmer, but also for the manager to investigate and make sure these issues do not appear again. Just 2 minutes to tell you who we are generally. Poultry has been founded by Mr. Yair Landesman, who is on the line with us. He's the founder of the company. He's been the IT manager of the first vertically integrated integration company in Israel. We've been active in the market with customers for over 5 years. After building our platform, we started this over a decade ago. And basically, we are a market leader here in Israel, which kind of indicates for you those, really market-changing insights that we've been able to provide thus far to our customers. I wanted to share one more thing before I wrap up, and this is, at the end of the day, technology is very exciting, innovation is exciting, but we're looking at whatever makes the business for our customers better. So these are some customer testimonials. I will not read through all of them, but you can see that they come from this integration CEO level until like the actual farmer in the field. And for each of them, through the production manager on the way, for each of them, we provide different value. So while this Rami Isaac, the CEO of integration, looks at the general outcome, how we're able to save costs for the company and how we helped the company in transitioning into antibiotics-free growth, which is a huge movement of the global poultry industry these days. For the production manager, he's talking about how we were able to provide data that helped him do preference of suppliers, for example, transition from getting day-old chicks from a specific supplier to another one who performed better results with his chicks. And with the farmer himself that, used our feed calculator in a very significant manner, we show how we're able to help him save the costs and finish every growing cycle with zero balance in his silos. Of course, feed is the most expensive input out of all others in the process, more than, than the medication and more than everything. Feed costs like 60% of the cost of the growth. So, being able to finish every growing cycle without any leftovers in the silo, instead of just throwing them away, this saves a lot of money, but also addresses the issue of waste management that I mentioned earlier in my presentation. I'm sorry for all the technical issues, but thank you for letting me wrap up. And thank you for having us on this great panel.
Thank you, Shiv, and Archana and everybody else. And I think, so digitalization, as I was saying earlier, is a phenomenal opportunity and great opportunity for us to, as you can see, and we have started in a small way, and I think for the first time, we are getting results in India. I mean, and I would say we are at a very, 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 very small at the starting. I wouldn't even say scratching the surface, but with whatever little we are doing, we're getting phenomenal results. And getting 1.4, 1.37 FCR in open houses was nobody ever dreamed that. You needed very sophisticated houses for that. But Srinivasa is getting that performance today, and we definitely are going to take big bets on AI and of course IoTs, and digitalization. Of course, is surely the way forward for us in next 3 to 4 years. We're going to invest a lot of money in this, and of course, in some way, we are having conversations with the different players here. But we do need to get more serious about this. So with that, Hemant, I think looks like I'll end up answering a lot of questions, but still, please go ahead.
Thanks, Suresh. Thanks very much for lovely moderation, and thanks to all the panelists for some very wonderful insights and very diverse views from different panelists. And there are some interesting questions for all of you, not just you, Suresh. So, of course, I'll start with you, if that's okay. So, a couple of questions for you, Suresh. The first one, which came in the chat box, was what are the areas where Indian poultry tech startup should be focusing on, right? We have Archana, who's doing a lot of monitoring, part of it. But are there any white spaces which startups haven't touched and you want to see more innovations in those areas?
I mean, there's really no limit to how many things, I mean, that's what we want people like Shir and Archana to identify the opportunities for us, because I think we have been in this too long, and I think we're too stuck in our thinking. But for sure, in marketing, and I think in modern day, how people are looking at it, and getting the word across. And even in productions, right? I mean, what they're saying, and many times we are seeing very, very simple things, Hemandar, and what was causing havoc for us before. It's very simple things, and these guys are helping us identify those things, and we are not losing that money, because every bird lost is actually, there's an investment behind that, and ultimately the consumer has to pay for it. And I think in India, that's very important, right? It is to keep the cost of production very low and all that. So many things like that. Of course, I see a big picture thing too, is especially with what Travis was talking about and all the disease management and all that. And sometimes this can get very dangerous, but manage the right moment at the right instance, it is not. It is when that is not handled, it can get very dangerous. And unfortunately, that's one of the realities of our business. And that's what we're dealing with. And so I think within that, for government and policymakers, it could be, because it's not like they're not doing it specifically for the disease, right? We are doing what Shir and Archana are going to do, is to manage the farm, and that can feed up and create this thing around the country, which can probably give us, dealing with it at the farm at the right instance, probably avoids the problem becoming a bigger issue. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered the question, Hemant, but yeah.
No, it does. We can all sense a lot of headroom for growth and opportunity.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, and I also believe in India, we have too many agri-tech and very few poultry tech. So there's clearly room for more poultry tech startups.
Mm-hmm.
There's one more question for you, Suresh, to Travis. You talked about FCR ratio, it's improved to whatever 1.4 you said, right? Do you think there is room for further improvement with innovations?
You see, 1.4, 1.7, 1.3 today is a dream number. It's like extreme. It is like possibly, how do I say, it is like Sachin Tendulkar scoring a double century the first time in 1 day, right? And that's how it is. But then we can only get there with more tools and all that, because you cannot now react even 1 day later. You have to react literally in hours to control this, and that reduces the cost of production so much, and it's so it is definitely, and I think there was one question about EC houses, environment control houses. Those will come for sure, but we also need solutions for existing farmers, right? I mean, it's already millions of people employed in this, so we need to find solutions for them. And I think that's where these some of these technologies, even 2 years back, were so costly. I think they're not so, they're coming down. And as implementation goes up, I think the costs will keep coming down even more. So yeah.
Great, Suresh. Thanks very much. I'll go to Travis. Travis, are you there?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks very much for your talk. You talked about novel technologies for rapid diagnosis, right? So the question for you is how costly it is, right? Of course, it will vary from it will vary depending on the size of the farm and the market where you're offering. But can you give some benchmarks on what is the cost of such technologies for the farmers?
So it's very market dependent, where you have infrastructure or the ability for supply chain for these methodologies. But the rapid tests can be $20 to $50 per test, depending. So avian influenza, there are antigen detection tests. We see with COVID testing, there's antigen detection tests now offered in the US for $80 to $150. So it's nominal when you have a disease outbreak, right? There's a cost for sure, but it's nominal if you count in shipping costs or time that you would wait for a normal diagnostic capability. So I think, just as Suresh said, you're going to see a lot more cost reduction as we see more technologies become available. But it's probably not something for a small producer. It's probably more for an integrated type producer, where you need a rapid result in order to protect other farms, make a biosecurity decision to protect things like FCR, like Suresh mentioned. That's in a disease-free, very, very proactive type environment versus a reactive disease endemic type environment. So, I mean, it depends on the market for sure, but in that 50 to 100 is completely viable for a rapid result that you can trust.
Thanks, Travis. And I fully understand as the...
Yeah, I think Hemendra, I think just today I saw the Delhi government, the RT-PCR is going to be 800 rupees now max. So you can imagine how that started, right? And not too far back, right? In May, even at 5,000 rupees, we thought was a great deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure with more adoption, we're going to see reduction and hopefully affordable for majority of farmers.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Travis. I'll move to Dr. Ramakrishna. Dr. Ramakrishna, you talked about that number of farms will reduce and there'll be more larger farms, in the future. So the question is, will the increase in farm sizes make digital tech more affordable? There's the perception that digital tech is for large farms. So if we are saying that there'll be more larger farms going forward, does it mean more digital tech being adopted?
Yeah, it's when we see the trend of what happened earlier and what is where we are now and what is needed for the future, there is definitely going to be increasing capacity. And when it is going to be increasing capacity, those who are less efficient or less managing the farms, they will not withstand they will not stand in the industry. So that's what happened earlier, and that will continue. Yeah, when you said like when it is going to be larger farms, there is a tremendous opportunity where they will think of investing the money in the right way. So digitalization will definitely will be a step forward when it comes to larger capacity. Also, when it is a supply based, yeah, it's a supply demand market. So when there is egg prices going up and egg prices going down, those who are efficient and those who can control the cost and those who can be cost effective can withstand. And this comes with large capacity, digitalization, more focused. So I think this is the way I see it's going to move forward. Also, there was a question I saw from one of the audience about whether the closed houses, whether the farmers are going to make or it's going to remain as more open houses. Yeah, the cost of production in the closed house will be much lesser than what is being produced in the open house, because there will be a lot of feed saving in the closed houses. When the temperature is controlled, the birds will be more efficient in productivity, higher livability and better quality eggs. So all these contribute for better efficiency. When they start moving towards larger farms, there is a higher scope for digitization in the poultry.
Hemendra, if I can come, I think right now the design is mostly stuck, is coming from West, which is, makes sense from that perspective. I think there will be designs which we will be developing. I think frugal, this thing has always been India's, need more than, I mean, like if you look at Israel, they don't have as many people as we do to do what we do. So they have been forced to go for scale and all that. But in India, we need jobs. Africa, that's what. But I think we will come through better. And I know I've been asking Ferre to work on that. And, he keeps asking these questions here instead of working on a solution with me. I'm just joking. So I think we will come up with better solutions, and I think and Shir and Archana will also come up with better. Like she's I think already responded. You really don't need a lot of things. You can just probably use your mobile to get a lot of data in and all that. And I think we will do that for sure. And but yeah, because I for one would not be happy if poultry ends up being only big people's game. I do want it to be at all scales. And I would say, like I keep saying, in the next 20 years, even if 1x of the growth is with small farmers, that is almost the same size of industry as today, right? So that's not a bad number, right? I mean, 2,000 crores with small guys is not a bad number. 2 lakh crores, sorry, not 2,000 crores. 2 lakh crores of business with small guys is phenomenal for Indian rural sector. And I think we have to do that. And that's what excites me about the partnership with ThinkAg. You guys are allowing us to look at things which otherwise probably would have been difficult for me to do. So I just wanted to put it out there. Thank you.
So that's a great thought to have, and totally with you in terms of making it affordable for small farmers. I was reading that there are about 3 crore farmers in India who poultry. So that's a pretty large number, almost 20% of our farming community. So we need to look after them.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another question for Dr. Ramakrishna. You talked about concentration of poultry in southern states, with 3 states producing about 50% of eggs, right?
Yeah.
And we also saw a strong correlation between production and per capita consumption, right? That's also high in southern states. So, and as you pointed out that the number of farms are going to go in other parts of the country, do you think that will also be a driver in terms of improvement of a per capita consumption in other parts of the country, which probably is below average, less than 50 or something like that?
Yeah, increasing poultry in other states will enhance the egg consumption where the production is happening. It improves the egg distribution network. What right now egg has to be transported for more than 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers. And so I think the networking will improve. And if it is produced locally, it gives more opportunity for, it increases the consumption. So to answer your question, yes, it is going to increase the consumption when it is produced within the state.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Ramakrishna. That was wonderful. Thanks for all your presentation and remarks. My next question is for Vincent. Vincent, similar question what I asked Dr. Ramakrishna. You talked about robotics, you talked about digitalization. So again, a lot of questions to you around will robotics solution meant only for the larger farms, and how to they take this solution to smaller farms? So that's one question. Secondly, I think a lot of people are asking for the formula that you presented on the slide, Python for poultry production. I don't know whether it's a proprietary formula, but none of us can read it, even if it's proprietary. So I don't know.
No. Okay, that formula, actually, I reply on the chat box here to somebody. It was just to illustrate a point that you end up with like 20, 40 features, that they call them in artificial intelligence science. And then you end up those massive formula that the human brain cannot handle by itself. We can, in equation, we can have 2 parameters. We're okay with that. When you got 20, I mean, it's impossible. So we need the machine to do that. Okay. So please do not use that formula. This is just an example. Okay. In terms of your first question, I truly believe, digitalization, robotic, all those technologies, they have application for any size of farm. It's really going to be up to the farmer to see what are your challenges and where do you think those latest technology can help you. I do not want to have sort of modern technology pushed onto farmers just for the sake of using digital technologies, okay? This is more like, what are my problems that I have currently on my farm, regardless of the size? And then can some of those latest technology help me resolve those problems that maybe I can resolve on my own, but it's going to take me 3 days to do it. And digital technologies can, help me do it in half an hour, for example. So really, it has to be problem driven on the farm and then find technologies. I like one of the example of the robotic. One of the robot companies were actually developed in France by a couple that were managing a breeder farm. And they had a problem with the egg on the floor, floor eggs. And therefore they thought, this is crazy. We should be able to find a way to resolve this problem. That's how they came about developing that robot. So I think it has to be really from the base, farmers identify problems, and then we'll find solution using digital technologies.
Thanks, Vincent. That's clear that these technologies are size agnostic, which is very critical, at least in India, because a lot of farmers are smallholder farmers. Next question is for Sher. Sher, thanks for the presentation. 2 questions for you. One very specific question in terms of the solution that you presented. Does it give instant alert to the farmer in real time?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, so basically we can send both the farmer and the manager. I'm talking about the manager, like the production manager from the integration, alerts in real time. It's important to understand that we don't, because one of the questions that was sent through the Q&A tab was whether we're able to also take the real-time action to change the controllers, for example, ventilation system or heating system and so forth. So we do not operate the controllers, the house controllers. We collect the data from it. But definitely, since we collect all the data in real time, we definitely can and do send out notifications or alerts if there is something abnormal that happens. And also the determining what is this abnormality, we put it into the system together with the customers. So for example, if a specific company doesn't want to be alerted only if there's like 5% deviation beyond what is expected to be the result at this time of the growth, if there's a 3% deviation, we would not alert them. But all of a sudden, if there's like a 7% increase in mortality or in the temperature inside the barn, we can definitely send the alert. And this has already helped some of our of the farmers we're working with to actually, even in some cases, save the lives of many of the birds inside the barn.
Thanks, Shir, for your answer. Second question is in terms of adoption. You have this integrated solution which is probably covering the entire value chain. How difficult is it to sell this solution? Does it take weeks, months? How much time do you spend making a sales?
Yeah. Okay, so we always start at the farmer's level, let's say, stage of the value chain, because this is where it's, let's say, the most challenging, because as I mentioned early in my presentation, usually these are a lot of farmers and a lot of farms. So we usually start from that level. And to be honest, we've done full implementation with large integrations within 3-4 weeks. It depends on, how much of a cooperation we get from within the company to collect all the initial information that we need for the setup of each farmer. We need some basic information on the farms, how many barns, what are the size of the barns, the different machinery available, ventilation systems, heaters, the silos, if there's 1 or 2. So we collect all of this basic information. We do the setup for the customer, and we're able to do all of that within a short number of weeks. And then we just give basically some training, usually to someone from within the company, so they can monitor that all the farmers are working properly. And even on the first cycle of growth, we usually we tell them, don't even keep on using your Excel files. Don't throw them away. We want you to be working as close to what you used to. We don't want to rock your world. Usually by the end of the first growing cycle, they already, losing their Excels by themselves, because they understand that they get all of the value in an Excel sheet and so much more from the platform. Regarding the integration in the different implementation in the different other stages of the supply chain, it's usually done very closely with the responsible person within, for example, from within the processing plant or the feeding plant, the feed plant or the hatchery. Usually there's some person that is like our champion within that specific stage of the value chain, and we do the integration with them. This is usually maybe it's more complicated in terms of the data points we collect, but it takes much shorter amount of time because we just do it with a single stakeholder. So it's within a few weeks. In all the majority of the cases, if there's nothing outrageous, we're able to do the full implementation.
And Sherry, are you present in Indian market already?
So we're not to date. I have to say I've been approached by some players within the Indian market that we're discussing with currently. So we're not yet, but we'll be very happy for this opportunity and to connect with some of the people here in the audience. It would be awesome. Very much looking forward to it. We've been tracking the Indian poultry industry, and it's been growing in a crazy pace. And I think it's gonna be one of the the big mammoths of this the global industry with the US and Brazil. I think with the US and Brazil and China. I think after those four, within some years, all the rest are going to be lagging behind significantly. So this is definitely a market segment that we're interested in 100%.
Thanks, Sher. We also share your optimism on Indian poultry market. We are also excited about it. So yeah, I'm sure you'll be here one day soon. Archana, you've been working in this space for quite some time. You're one of the few poultry tech entrepreneurs in the country. So compliments for your persistence. Question for you, a couple of questions in fact. One is, are there any examples of successful AI models in poultry in India? And so maybe we can start with it. You're on mute, Archana, you have to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Hemendra. So I have not personally come across any successful AI models specifically, but they are yeah.
Archana,
Am I audible? Yeah, I think
we can hear you, Archana. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, but there is a very brisk pace of research that has been happening in that scope, whether it is feed implementation, AI implementing in feed model, and also as I was talking about the precision livestock farming, that segment, and also the environmental factor and association of associating that with the production line. So that has been happening, and the pace has been rapidly picking up in the past few months that I have seen.
Okay, thanks. Second is on the grading of eggs. I think that was a very interesting solution. I've seen a lot of image processing for fruits, vegetables, staples, but grading of eggs is very exciting. The question is it only the physical grading, or you can also grade eggs on the basis of its nutrient value, etc.?
So as of now, it is on the physical factors, on the size, how we can measure the quality of the eggs based on the physical structure and physical parameters, whether it is the texture or the color or the size, or any airline cracks that are negligible, that are not visible to the human eye. So that is currently our focus, and the other nutritional point will be at a later stage. So that's quite exciting for us as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. And the last question, very similar to what I asked here in terms of adoption, sales cycle. I know you've been pushing for it, and of course you've got great set of clients. But how difficult it has been for you as a digital solution for poultry industry, and being probably the first few who's offering it. So I'm sure there's a lot of education component into it. So if you can throw some light on that.
So actually, what I believe is we entered at a time where the industry is ripe for adoption. So that helped us cut a lot of time in terms of customer awareness towards innovation. But poultry considered, being considered, which is a close-knit industry, and also essentially it's a livestock sector, and not many want to adopt to these technologies and change their existing processes very quickly. But luckily for us, the need of the time, that hour was for technology innovation and technology adaptation. So we faced a little bit resistance at the ground level, but the management and the pioneers like Suresh sir and other industry players were really encouraging in terms of what we have mentioned, and they understand the challenges day in, day out, and something that we came up with this, and where everything was just online and in their mobile was exciting to them as well. But there was a little bit of resistance, especially due to the sector, which is livestock. Yeah.
And Archana, as Share is planning to enter Indian market, what's your plan? You're happy with India, or you want to take your solutions global?
Yeah, always. Yeah, so it's always India, which is growing tremendously, will keep us busy for at least 2 to 3 years. But global is definitely in our roadmap. Yeah, and I'm really happy and to share, the space with Share, and there's always a healthy competition that is also challenges going forward.
Collaboration before competition. I think that's the mantra.
Collaborations. Yeah, collaboration. Rightly said. Yes.
Right. Great, Archana, for your thoughts. I think it's really wonderful. Every time I talk to you, feel a lot of energy and a lot of innovative ideas. So that's great. Maybe one last question to Suresh and Dr. Ramakrishnan and Archana, and probably other panelists also. There were some projections in one of the presentation where we talked about India touching per capita egg consumption of 118 by 2030. I think which is what is being recommended. We are at about 80-90 per capita per year. And there was also projection on our poultry consumption going from 3 to 4 kgs to something like 7 to 8 kgs. I guess a lot of these projections are pre-COVID. Do you think post-COVID we're going to see acceleration in adoption of animal protein, given the fact it's immunity builder, it solves for a lot of nutritional deficiencies that majority of consumers have in India? Do you see a pick up in the demand in a post-COVID era? Anyone can take it up.
Yeah, let me take that up. So I think for sure, Hemander, I think, but of course it's not going to happen without, some push from us, from the industry. I think we need to do some education and letting people know, why they should eat more and all that. I think somewhere culturally for us, it is not. We don't see. We don't look at nutrition in a. I think we still think giving children rice and rasam is good enough. And we don't realize that, right? And so I think we need to do that. In this day and age, where a small candy, the amount of money they are spending to talk about it, and we don't talk about our product, I think we'll be lost. I think we've grown so far without doing all that, or at least not much. But I think from now on, we need to start playing that game, and I think there's tremendous opportunity, no doubt. But I definitely think we can get to those numbers and beyond if we do a good job of educating consumers on this.
Great. No, absolutely. I think we need to take a lead. I think the campaign which government ran, Sunday ho ya Monday khao one day, I think that definitely kind of triggered some demand. I hope we can do more about.
Yeah, but see that's the part that I say, that was something that we did 20 years back. The industry did that, but even now people only remember that because we have not been doing anything after that, right? And I think that is where we have kind of we did it once and we thought we are done with it, but not really. Today 40% of our children are extremely malnourished. 50% of the expectant mothers are, and some of these issues, Hemender, those children can never recover from, the lack of nutrition the mother had, right? And these children can never be, in some sense, certain smartness is never possible for them because that's it. 3 eggs a week would have solved it. But that's as simple as that. And, yeah.
That's an important point. In fact, I was also reading some literature which said that if we move from 80 eggs to 180 eggs per year, it can solve India's 75% nutritional deficiency.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, without doubt.
That's some number. So let's hope it happens by 2025. We need not wait till 2030 to make it happen. So unless any other panelists have a point to make, we can probably close. Travis, Vincent, Cher, Archana.
I have some point to make. I just want to say that it's super cool that the 2 representatives from startups in the livestock industry are 2 women. So kudos to I think for doing that as well. That's very nice and important.
Thanks, Shir, for making us present to that. Brilliant. Thank you.
Absolutely, Shir.
We are proud of this. We are proud of this. Yeah.
And we want more.
Well
women, we want more women entrepreneurs in the sector. In fact, next month we are hosting an exclusive event for women entrepreneurs in agri and livestock. So you're most welcome to join that as well. So that's a very important point you make. And we need to bring gender neutrality or parity, whatever you want to call it, in this sector. That's very important. And probably you won't know, Share, but a significant part of Indian agriculture is already feminine. Horticulture, animal husbandry, dairy, poultry, there's a lot of women participation. And I'm sure it will also get into field crops with more automation coming in. So
that's awesome. Good for you. It's definitely not the case globally. So well done, India.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's great. I think it's been a wonderful session. We can keep on carrying on for maybe another half an hour or so, but I am conscious of time and would like to close by thanking all the panelists. It's been a wonderful session. As Raman mentioned, this is the first of the series that we want to do. In fact, when we released the agenda, a lot of startups reached out to us why we are not included. So hopefully we'll give chance to other startups and you are most welcome to participate in that as well. And with that, I'll close. Suresh or Raman, if they want to make any closing remark, you're most welcome.
No, I think it's a good start, and hopefully, and looking forward to the next one. I think, it was good, great discussions, and I think out of this, we'll look at how we can tailor the next one and soon. Yeah, thank you, Raman. Over to you.
Thanks, Suresh, and thanks, Hemendra, and thanks to all the panelists, Vincent, Travis, Dr. Ramakrishna, and Archana. And it's actually quite an intense conversation, and there's a lot that has been discussed and presented. It'll take us a little bit of time to kind of sift through and bring out some theme areas that we want to build on for the next conversation. So please do look out on ThinkAg, social media. Probably in the new year in January, we will have a follow-up dialogue. And as Hemendra mentioned, and both Hemendra and Suresh have mentioned that this is something that we want to build on, especially for the entrepreneurs to identify these problems and start to build the solutions. I mean, we have experts here, and we also have startups. The expert can also sharpen the problem statement that the entrepreneurs can work on. And the kind of Q&A that we've seen in the chat box, I think that really, tells to the kind of interest that we have from people, and we hope that this will grow. And these are serious conversations, and if we can lead this into some kind of a pilot with different industry players and startups, I think that would be a brilliant outcome from a ThinkAg perspective. And I really want to thank Suresh and his colleagues at Srinivasa to provide all the support and the partnering to develop this. It takes all of us a little bit of time to put this together, but I think it's well worth the effort. And really also want to thank our overseas participants, panelists actually, Cher, Vincent and Travis, for taking the time from different time zones. And we hope to continue this dialogue and keep collaborating. India is the market. And India, more than anything else, is a democratic market. So we are natural consumers of animal protein, natural consumers of plant protein, and the two shall coexist, come what may. So I think there is potential and there is a lot to do. And as Suresh mentioned, a lot of problems to solve. So let's focus on prioritizing the problems, and let's focus on ensuring the 98% of the farmers who are not part of the formal poultry supply chain actually get involved more and more, and at least their incomes and sustainability starts to get impacted. So with that last word, I would just like to thank everybody and have a good evening, and stay safe and keep well. Looking forward to staying in touch. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
For your participation in the next episode too. So stay tuned in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Abhijit, for putting this together.